drive from Katsina town to Daura. So in the next 45 minutes, we expect, or less than that, since it's a convoy, we expect the remains of the former president to be in Daura for the final funeral. And the former president we put to rest according to the Islamic funeral rites. We understand that the Emir of Daura is already on ground and he will be conducting the funeral rites across the country and also here in Katsina. The nation's national flag is flying at half-mast in honor of the former president. You can see the remains of the military ambulance, and protocol are trying to make sure everything takes shape as the convoy proceeds straight to Daura. So in the next 30 minutes or 40 minutes here about, we expect the funeral to kickstart proper in Daura, and our correspondent Ayo Adenaye is on ground to give us the full details of the funeral rites. These are live pictures from the Umaru Musa Yar'Adua International Airport. You can see security personnel giving cover to the ambulance and other dignitaries as they take position, they file up to move straight to the body of the former president. Several dignitaries we've interviewed have paid glowing tributes to the former president, a towering figure. They described him as a towering figure. And we've been told by the villa security to position our camera on the parade. Okay, you can see the governor of Katsina State trying to enter his convoy. The governor of Katsina State is trying to enter his convoy so that they can move. Now.
Well, you've been watching the precedent ceremony that will lead to the funeral of the former Nigerian president, Muhammadu Buhari. His body arrived in the country a while ago and it was given full military honors, befitting the status of the late Grand Commander of the Order of the Federal Republic at the Umaru Musa Yar'Adua Airport in Katsina State. The procession will now move to his hometown, Daura, where the late former president will be buried according to Islamic rite. Well, we now join Arise News correspondent Ayo Adenaye in Daura, Katsina State, the hometown of the former president, to bring us updates about activities going on there. Ayo, thank you so much for joining us on Newsday. Give us an update on what's happening in Daura.
Well, while we wait for Ayo to be connected, we are watching live footage from Katsina, where for the last few moments we have witnessed the procession of the military and the late former president's body as well. We saw it getting put on to a military ambulance and driven out of the premises to the final resting place for where the funeral will be taking place. It's a lot of activity that has been going on in the last couple of minutes. A lot of dignitaries and family members of the deceased on the tarmac witnessing and preparing for the body to arrive in Katsina. As soon as the body arrived in the plane, it was taken off and there was a full military procession, quite solemn event to witness. It's not often a former president of the country dies and is buried, and we watch the funeral procession live on TV. Well, we're still watching images of the military on the tarmac. Everyone is getting ready to move to Dara, where the final funeral rites will be performed.
Well, Buhari's body, which was draped in the Nigerian flag, was brought down from the Nigerian Air Force aircraft by officials of the Nigerian military at the Umaru Musa Yar'Adua International Airport in Katsina. His remains, of course, will be taken to Daura, where he'll be buried after receiving a military farewell, like we just witnessed. Some of the positive legacies of the former infrastructure development, notable projects including the Lagos-Ibadan Railway and the Second Niger Bridge, his social welfare programs, the NPower conditional cash transfer, amongst others. Well, I understand we now have Ayo Adenaye, our Arise News correspondent in Daura, Katsina State, the hometown of former President Muhammadu Buhari, to bring us updates about activities going on there. Ayo, thank you so much for joining us. Kindly tell us what's happening where you are.
Good afternoon, Hawa. Good afternoon, Team Itokwe. Well, one of the updates we brought earlier and one of the questions that we asked is the issue that has to do with the space regarding where the funeral prayer will be held. How will the space be managed? You know, and one of the way I've responded was that the security operatives have been able to, barricade the area to only allow the VIP. But from now, there seems to be a change from what we earlier thought it would be. Presently, where I'm standing is the helipad place where the chopper, if probably he's coming by a chopper, because we were told that probably the remains might be brought by road or they might bring him by chopper. But the update now is that everybody is now allowed to enter this particular place. And as you can just see right behind me, you see almost the whole people in the community have been allowed inside this particular place. And I want to believe this must have been through the influence of the Emir of Daura, His Royal Highness Umar Farouk, because when he came, with his own entourage and with a whole lot of the people of the community who came, and the security operatives were trying to stop them from entering. I want to believe with his appeal to the fact that this man that we are talking about, he has lived for the poor, according to what he has mentioned, that this man has lived for the poor. And since he has lived for the poor, it is expected that the poor also should witness, the funeral prayer and the funeral. So from what we have gathered so far, it seems the funeral prayer will now be held here because here is very, very spacious enough, I would say, to probably contain, the whole community or the whole people that will be coming. So the burial or the funeral prayer now is not only to be witnessed by VIPs or by politicians, so to speak, but even the downtrodden in quote, and even the people of the community. So we can see that right just by my left-hand side, you see people also, just by my right-hand side, you can see people also trooping in and going towards the tarmac. Probably from this indication, it seems like the remains will be brought in with the chopper. But the people here have also, prepared themselves for the funeral prayer. And when I say they prepare for themselves for the funeral prayer, we've seen them, observing the ablution that is expected of them to be carried out while preparing for an Islamic burial rite. So for what we have gathered so far, we understand that the president's remains is already in Katsina, and any moment from now, it should arrive at Daura, his hometown. But the joy for these people and their happiness is now that they can witness, the funeral prayer of a man be so much cherished, because it has been a whole grumbling outside, and a lot of them have been expressing worry. You can see how there is a lot of movement in the front of the camera, and it's practically impossible for us to control them. But the joy is that they are so much happy to the fact surely be missed in this community, and it will surely be remembered for a lot of things. I said it earlier that his influence, or for the fact that he came out from this town, Daura, has really brought, significant development to this particular community. And the fear, that some of the community or some of the people in this community are nursing is, will they still continue to enjoy some of the benefits they've enjoyed? I've said it earlier on our various live crossings, that the people of this community enjoy what we can call 24 hours power supply. The whole areas, the whole roads are tarred, the street lights are working, some are on solar, some are on normal electricity, and everything seems very neat, very calm, and very beautiful to behold. So I think his influence, and there are a lot of institutions, the Muhammadu Buhari University of Transportation is here, the Federal University Daura is also here. We have a lot of monuments or a lot of tertiary institutions that have been brought here, or there are a lot of development that has been produced here on the influence of the former late president. So I think the people of the community will wait to see, probably after a month, probably after 2 months, probably after a year, that will this benefit that we have enjoyed, will it continue, or they go back to the status. The journey should not take more than...
The life and times of former President Nigeria mourns the passing of a statesman whose life spanned decades of national service, from military leadership to democratic governance. Former President Muhammadu Buhari, GCFR, who died on Sunday, July 13, 2025, in a London clinic at the age of 82 after a protracted illness, leaves behind a legacy etched in the annals of Nigerian history. Born on December 17, 1942 in Daura, Katsina State, Muhammadu Buhari hailed from a modest Fulani family. He joined the Nigerian military at the age of 19, embarking on a career that would define much of his early adult life. Trained in Nigeria, India, the United Kingdom, and the United States, Buhari quickly rose through the ranks, gaining a reputation for discipline, diligence, and integrity. His role in the Nigerian Civil War and various military commands positioned him for higher responsibilities, culminating in his appointment as Federal Commissioner, Minister for Petroleum Resources in 1976 under the Muritala Obasanjo regime. He also chaired the Nigerian National Petroleum Corporation, NNPC, during this period. On December 31, 1983, Buhari seized power in a military coup that ousted the civilian government of President Shehu Shagari. His regime, though short-lived, was marked by a firm stance against corruption and indiscipline. Through the now famous war against indiscipline, why he sought to instill order in public life and curb corruption. The regime also attracted criticism for human rights abuses, censorship, and its rigid economic policies. Buhari's tenure as head of state ended abruptly in August 27, 1985, when he was overthrown by the then Chief of Army Staff, General Ibrahim Babangida. Following his ouster, Buhari remained largely silent in public affairs for several years. He resurfaced during the Abacha regime as chairman of the Petroleum Trust Fund, PTF, where he oversaw massive infrastructural projects funded by proceeds from oil savings. By the late 1990s and early 2000s, Buhari began to redefine himself as a Democrat. He contested for the presidency in 2003, 2007, and 2011, losing each time. Despite the defeats, he maintained a loyal political following, particularly in northern Nigeria. In 2015, at the age of 72, Buhari made history by becoming the first opposition candidate in Nigeria to defeat a sitting president. Backed by a coalition of parties under the All Progressives Congress, APC, he defeated incumbent President Goodluck Jonathan in an election widely praised for its relative transparency. As president, Buhari campaigned on three core promises: fighting corruption, improving security, and reviving the economy. His administration scored notable gains in degrading Boko Haram insurgents in the northeast, recovering looted assets, and implementing social investment programs like Empower and the School Feeding Initiative. However, his presidency was not without controversy. Buhari faced criticisms over rising insecurity in other parts of the country, perceived nepotism in appointments, a sluggish economy, and increasing national debts. His prolonged medical trips abroad also stirred public concern about his health and capacity. Re-elected in 2019, Buhari completed his second term in 2023 and peacefully handed over